Oh, hello and welcome to where we talk about Jamie Jakes. I am him, and today I'm here to talk about reports that Nick Chubb may be released from the Cleveland Browns this season. If you haven't heard, multiple reports were released today that the Browns were considering releasing Nick Chubb, which would clear up a significant amount of his salary cap space. This is, of course, coming off of Nick Chubb's season-ending injury early this past season. He is a 28-year-old running back who's coming off multiple ligament knee injury and the firing of beloved running backs coach Stump Mitchell. The next question, of course, being why is this being released now and who is releasing it? I think it's pretty fair to say that it's not Nick Chubb's camp releasing this information. He would have nothing to gain from this information getting out. So you have to assume that if these are legit reports, which the reports were reported by people of good standing in the insider community with ESPN and Bleacher Report, to name the two sources that were releasing this information, it's true and it's coming from the Cleveland Browns, which means they're either getting the fans base used to the idea of moving on from Nick Chubb or leaking it to see what the reaction would be from media. So I don't want to get too upset about anything that hasn't happened yet, but the fact that the Browns are even considering this is outrageous to me. I get that he's a 28-year-old running back. I get that he's coming off of a knee injury. It was early in the season. Remember, this guy was doing multiple back squats with a bamboo bar, which is designed to be a shitty back squat bar, 600 pounds, 4 reps. I think this guy is the exception to the rule. He's always been the exception to the rule, and he's come back from a knee injury like this. And if you're going to cover up your horrible contract that you signed Deshaun Watson to a few years ago by releasing Nick Chubb, that's pretty disappointing to me as a fan of the Cleveland Browns. Which brings me to my final point. If the Cleveland Browns are to actually release Nicholas Chubb from the Browns to clear up some salary cap space for the team this upcoming season, I don't know if I could be a Cleveland Browns fan anymore. And there's no way for me to actually tell that until I actually see them play in week 1, because then I'll know if I care or not. But I became a Cleveland Browns fan several years ago because of a lot of guys. And now a lot of those guys are no longer on the roster. So am I supposed to hold on to Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett for my fandom? I'm not a big fan of Coach Stefanski. I'm not a big fan of the general manager that was brought in to replace Dorsey. You know, he's doing very well for the Lions right now. And I don't think we could say the same about Andrew Berry. Again, this actually hasn't happened yet. They are actually considering this. The Cleveland Browns are actually considering this. So there is a little bit of reason for me to be upset. I hope they make the right decision, is all I'm trying to say. I hope they keep Nick Chubb on the team. Jerome Ford's a great number 2 to Nick Chubb, but I really am a believer that Nick Chubb's going to bounce back from this knee injury and be pretty close to what we've seen in the past 3 or 4 years from him as a Cleveland Brown. We saw him do it in college, and I think we're going to see him do it again. I'm betting on Nick Chubb, and I hope the Cleveland Browns do as well. Do you think I'm a bad fan if I quit being a Cleveland Browns fan if Nick Chubb is released? Or do you think I've been through enough? And do you think the Browns should release Nick Chubb to clear up $15, $13, $14 million of salary cap space minus Nick Chubb on the team and use that elsewhere on the roster? My name's Jamie Jakes. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you and good night.